Welcome back to Hannity. Now, when it comes to the gun control debate, the hypocrisy does not stop in Hollywood. A New York newspaper, the Journal News, with the help of the president and publisher Janet Hassan and Rockland editor Karen McBride, they recently published the names and location of local law-abiding gun owners, putting their homes and their families at risk. Now, the paper has reportedly hired armed guards to protect its offices in the face of the public backlash surrounding the attempt to shame gun owners. But as outrage grows over the paper's blatant invasion of privacy, lack of responsibility, and complete hypocrisy, one cannot help but question, do the outed gun owners have any legal recourse against the paper? Joining me now with some answers from the American Center for Law and Justice, Jay Sekulow, civil rights attorney, KABC radio talk show host Leo Terrell. Leo, let's see if we can agree on something as we get started here. We also had the names and addresses of police officers, so people who they arrested now know where the cops live that arrested them. Now the bad guys know which homes have guns and don't have guns, so they know which homes they might be able to rob and which ones they might be able to steal guns from. Don't you find this irresponsible?
Mr. Hannity, I don't think so, because this information is part of the Freedom of Information Act. Mr. Hannity, I believe that this information will alert law-abiding citizens of individuals who might have a gun, who shouldn't have a gun. If they have information, Mr. Hannity, of these individuals who have a mental issue, this will provide notice to the police department of people who have a problem and yet they possess guns. This information, final point, Mr. Hannity. Oh, no, Mr. Hannity, let me tell you right now, this information is freedom of information. Sure. And I could have gotten the information and published it on the internet.
Leo, what if I put your name out there and I said, Leo Terrell lives here? And maybe people that you're a public figure, you're an outspoken civil rights attorney, you're a friend, you're a radio talk show host. Would you want your name published like that?
Every time I'm on your program, you should listen to my phone calls. I'm the angry black guy. So I'm trying to be very nice tonight. I took acting classes. I took acting classes. What? I don't have any problem with that.
We disagree, but we've gotten along for years. I don't want anybody threatening you. I've gotten threats. Jay, you've gotten threats over the years. We all have, if we're in the public eye. This, to me, though, is putting innocent lives at risk here, Jay.
Yeah, there's an interesting parallel here. And that was in the 1950s and 60s, those members of the NAACP who did not want their names disclosed publicly, although they were exercising free speech rights, but didn't want published lists being circulated, won that before the Supreme Court of the United States, as they should have, to keep anonymity, because it was involving a fundamental constitutional right. And, Sean, you hit the issue exactly correct, and that is you've got a situation where the Rockland County police officials are very upset with this paper, because they're saying that 40% of the individuals in Rockland County that possess weapons legally are either current police officers of the NYPD or previously served in that position, serving their communities as police officers. Then you've got another, certainly 10 or 12% that were subject to domestic violence that now have weapons to protect themselves. And these women now have their names published as well.
Have you ever heard of the Freedom of Information Act? Have you ever heard of the Freedom of Information Act?
Known criminals
have you ever
going
heard of
after
the Freedom
people
of
for retaliation. And you publish who's protected and who's not. So when you've got a fundamental constitutional right, what's interesting to me, Leo, is you know those NAACP cases very well.
Let me jump in here,
Jay. When you've got a published and protected constitutional right, their anonymity, registering with the state's one thing, having that disclosed publicly, something else.
You are absolutely wrong. And then why do you bring up the NAACP some 50 years ago? It has no relationship on this issue.
Well, those cases have been cited as recently as last year by the Supreme Court.
It's totally irrelevant.
They're valid cases.
Would you acknowledge that there is a Freedom of Information Act? Will you please acknowledge that? That information is public.
Hey, Leo, I have a question. Leo, I have a question.
Please.
Let me ask you a question. Because cops' homes are being revealed here. Police officers, they have families, Leo. Those people that have weapons, now if somebody wanted to steal them, they've also been disclosed. And people without guns are probably sitting ducks if people want to know where to rob. Here's my question. Do you believe in the right of privacy? Because liberals often lecture us about the right of privacy.
Mr. Hannity, have you forgotten about what happened at Sandy Hook, where there was a lunatic who shot up 20 kids?
You a question.
This information is, I'm answering your question, sir. Now let me get my point across, please, Mr. Hannity. My point is that this information will alert the neighborhood of people who are mentally ill. And this information is disclosed under the Freedom of Information Act.
People
no
reporting on their neighbors and saying, I think that person is mentally ill, you better go take his gun? Because, Leo, there are
first
people
of all,
It could have
that don't
saved
like
20
your
lives.
opinions that may want
It could have saved 26 lives. It could have saved 26 lives at
Connecticut
Sandy
has
Hook
the
Elementary
toughest gun
School.
laws.
Jay?
Connecticut has the
So,
toughest gun
listen,
laws in the United States.
there are
and the
certain
tragedy
people in
and
this
horror
country-
of what happened at Sandy Hook,
There are certain
Sean,
people in this country, Mr. Hannity, that do not need a gun. They can register for a gun, they can acquire a gun, but they're mentally disturbed.
right,
There's background checks are
Mentally
required by
disturbed.
law in all 50 states. What you're doing here is you're putting individual citizens who are legally in possession of arms that are protected by the Second Amendment to the United States Constitution. You're putting them at risk. You're putting police officers who could be subject to retaliation, and you've identified where they live. You've got domestic violence victims again. You don't want to acknowledge
that. What about that?
Connecticut had the toughest gun laws
I do
in
want
the
to know
country.
that. That mother was legally allowed to have guns. Her son was mentally disturbed. Why don't you answer one
in a
question?
state
Do you
that has the
recognize
toughest
the
gun
Freedom of
laws,
Information Act?
that doesn't solve the problem.
All right,
the
we got
problem
to
with
run.
that is,
Leo,
under
you were
HIPAA,
friends,
you can't even disclose.
Leo, you were friends with O.J. Simpson. Did you know that he was?
Here we go
did
with
you
O.J.
know that he was going to be liable? What? Hello? Oh, Leo? All right, we got to go. Thank you both for being with us.
All right, thanks, Sean.
All right, Leo, good to see you. 2013 is bringing with it